Yeah, Jermell Charlo, he looks like he's ready to return to the sport of boxing, and I can't wait. Jermell Charlo, he's back in the gym, and it looks like he is training, getting ready for a boxing comeback. He has taken to his social media over the past few days, and it looks like he's ready to ring in the new year, 2025, by getting back in the ring. Jermell's last fight was a big payday fight. I didn't fancy it too much because of what you've seen in the fight. Weight classes exist for a reason. I knew that. I always know that, and I always tell you that. So he moved up 2 weight classes, fought Canelo, and it was one-sided. And it just wasn't this crazy event, either side. You know, Canelo beat him, yes. Canelo won every round, yes. But it wasn't like this clinical, crazy fight. Like, I feel like Canelo Munguia, Canelo Berlanga were better fights because they were guys who have fought at 68 before. So their styles, plus them being more adjusted to the weight, they're just able to throw more. Jermell Charlo got in there with Canelo, and he felt the power and stuff like that, and he realized it was a difference being at that weight class. And it was kind of more survival mode, I felt, where he knew he couldn't make too many mistakes with that weight. And as a result, he kind of shelled up and didn't really throw beyond the first couple rounds. So after a 15-month layoff, I said that to say this, Jermell Charlo looks to be back in the game. Now, it sounds like he wants to come back to 154, which I think is good. But there's a hint of bad. The hint of bad is you've been off for 15 months. You come off a loss. You're no longer undisputed. And you're dropping weight, which, I mean, he's had adequate time to come down off of weight. Because I don't think he was truly a 168 pound. I think his brother is bigger and closer to making 168 and being like full-fledged up there than Jermell is. So that's one thing. But I'm always weary because I always think about one of my favorite fighters, Roy Jones Jr., moving up to heavyweight, then coming back to rematch Antonio Tarver at light heavyweight, and he got knocked out. So anytime the weight fluctuating, especially like I feel most people, the older you get, moving up in a weight class makes more sense than moving down, especially several weight classes in most cases, because that's hard. It's hard on the body, you know, to gain muscle, gain weight, and then have to just lose it. And who knows how you'll feel with that type of cut. But it is what it is. It sounds like he's trying to come back at 54. I'm looking forward to it. I will say there's been a lot of motion at 54. You got new players, Charles Conwell. You have Bakram Murtazayev, which they call Murder Zayev, who just beat Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu just lost. You have the Tellez dude who's on the way up. You got Crawford, who moved up. Errol Spence, who's likely to move up. You have Sebastian Fundora. Madrimov gave Crawford a go. So there's a lot of tempting and really good fights that are now at 54, because while Jermell's been on the sidelines after losing his belts and losing to Canelo for the past 15 months, the division wore on and other fights were made. Other people, you know, had activity and performances. So the division is shaped. So now I'm kind of curious how Jermell fits in, because before he conquered the division, and that culminated with him becoming undisputed, beating Brian Castano. Now you got some very, very dangerous guys that weren't really as prevalent when he was on his rise to undisputed. But again, in his absence, these other people kind of made more names for himself. Like, no one was really checking for Bakram Murtazayev. Madrimov was out because he was, I believe, Charlo's mandatory at one point, or he was getting close to becoming his mandatory. But the difference is now we've seen him with a signature name like Terrence Crawford. Now people have a better idea of who he is. Now, I can't spend too much time on Madrimov being an option for Charlo because he has a tough fight with Virgil Ortiz. But there's a lot of different ways you can round robin and mix and match these guys. The winner of Madrimov, Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is from Texas. Jermell and Jermell Charlo clearly from Texas, different parts. That would be a huge fight in Texas, especially if Virgil Ortiz can beat Madrimov, who again garnered respect for his losing effort against Terrence Crawford. So like I said, despite Jermell Charlo conquering the division and being the king of the 154s, in his absence, because he decided to move up and fight Canelo, there's been some motion and different people have increased their wave. So now, coming off of a loss, moving down in weight, no longer being undisputed, not really having the momentum that Jermell Charlo had, because he was fighting Austin Trout, he was fighting Tony Harrison's and Jorge Cota's, and obviously the 2 fights with Brian Castano. He was doing all that. He has a lot of motion at those points. Now he doesn't, because he's coming off a loss and again a long layoff. So boxing is weird like that, and you never really know till you know, because I truly believe in timing and I believe in ebb and flow. You would want to think that Jermell Charlo took care of himself in the last 15 months and is the same fighter, but until we see him in the ring, we don't really know. The only fighters in the last 25 years that I really trusted to have long layoffs and look exactly the same, Floyd Mayweather and Andre Ward. And that's because I was very confident that they weren't poisoning their body. I was very confident that even in their absence from the sport and being sidelined for whatever reason, like Ward had legal problems and contract issues that he was trying to get out of. Floyd retired after the Juan Manuel Marquez fight. I trusted both of those guys, Ward and Floyd, to do the right things and make the best possible decisions for their career instead of, messing around and doing drugs, sampling, drinking a lot, getting real fat, pot belly, beer belly, that type of behavior. I trusted them. There's not many fighters that I trust to that degree to be gone from the game and still have it all put together. Let me know what you guys think. I am looking forward to Jermell Charlo's return and his brother. I am a fan of the Charlos. I like what they bring, the energy. Let's see if they can get it back, the momentum that they had. Deuce.